Hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to another Feel Good Social podcast playlist for this month of December. I am so just overly excited to be sharing these past episodes with you. But basically, what these playlist episodes are is a roundup of our best episodes on certain topics that you should totally go back and listen to if you are struggling with whatever the heck the topic is. And today's topic just so happens to be mindset. And I'm not going to lie to you, I had so much fun going through our past episodes. We have so many good ones that aren't even on these playlist episodes. I gotta tell you, there are too many in our 149 plus the mini-sode Feel Good Social Podcast episodes that we have created so far. And today's episode is the playlist that I had the most episodes listed. And I tried to cut it down to 7 episodes like I've shared for a few of the other ones, but I just couldn't. I had to share a bonus episode on this playlist. So today I'm going to be sharing my favorite and best and most popular 8 episodes for creating healthy habits, mindset shifts, overcoming certain hurdles, and overcoming the Instagram scaries when it comes to your business and social media in general, right? These episodes are so helpful for actually taking action, for talking yourself into showing up, for telling yourself it's normal the way you are feeling, for creating healthy boundaries and habits when it comes to social media marketing. So you can create a plan of attack that's sustainable for you. But anyway, these 8 episodes are super helpful if you are feeling stuck, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling nervous or scared to show up online. I've got the episodes for you in today's playlist, my friend. So I hope that you find at least one episode in this playlist that you will want to listen to this week or over the holidays at some point. And if you do hear one that you're like, ooh, yeah, I'll give that a listen, you can either just scroll back in your podcast app and find the number of the episode that I'm talking about. Or I have linked all of the episodes that I'm talking about today in the show notes. So just open up the show notes, click that link, and you'll be off to your listening, pleasure. I don't know. That sounded really weird. Okay. Anyway, here are our top, best, awesome mindset, feel good social podcast episodes. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. All right, my friend. So the first episode that I want to share with you for our mindset playlist is episode 17, how to take control of your social media and not let it control you. And I love this episode so much because we are bringing it back to one of the very first episodes that I recorded for the Feel Good Social podcast. If you've listened to any lately, you may know that we have episode 150 coming in hot. I'm going to be releasing episode 150 of the Feel Good Social podcast on January 3rd. We're going to be talking all about social media marketing trends. It's going to be super fun, but that's just showing you that episode 17 is way back in the day. However, it is super awesome. And I've gotten a lot of great feedback when it comes to this episode because I share my essential habits, my essential mindset shifts for feeling like you are in control of your social media marketing and not feeling like you're just running on the content creation hamster wheel, or not feeling like you have to follow the trends or listen to all the shoulds or shouldn'ts and all that different stuff, right? While I did record this episode a hot minute ago, it's still very, very relevant. And the information is not outdated whatsoever, my friend. So if you are feeling like you are just on the content creation hamster wheel, or you're just like always having to be on Instagram for your brand and you feel a little out of control, then this is the episode that you want to listen to, episode 17. Let's go ahead and take a sneak listen.
It's really, really easy to feel like there's a big, giant spotlight on you, right? And like everyone's paying attention. They're all judging you. You know, it's super, super easy to get sucked into that mental pattern. And the reality is that they're not. No one on social media is really paying as much attention to you as you think that they are. We are all paying attention to ourselves, and then other people tend to come into our lives here or there. And so if you get stuck into that mental pattern where you're telling yourself that everyone's paying attention to you and you're putting stress on yourself about this, it's time for a little reality check, my friend, because I love you and I'm paying attention to you, but I'm not paying that much attention to you. And neither is anyone else, okay?
All right. The second episode that I want to share with you in our mindset playlist for the Feel Good Social podcast is Minisode 32, and it's titled Instagram Anxiety. Here are 3 things you can release today. And I love this episode so much. Once again, my friend, I'm going to be saying that for pretty much every episode that I share with you. Okay. So just got to warn you that I'm very excited to share all these episodes with you, and they are all my favorite episode. But this one, especially because I feel it deeply in my heart. Minisode 32 is all about if you are feeling anxious to show up for your brand online. Here are 3 things that you can use to just release, or that you can relieve your anxiety with, right? If that's a sentence. Basically, I'm talking about things like perfectionism and the tools that I use to overcome my perfectionism. I'm talking about certain beliefs that a lot of people have about showing up online that aren't necessarily true. All that different stuff. It is a mini-sode, so it is a very short episode, under 20 minutes. If you're feeling Instagram anxiety at all, if you're feeling scared to show up online for your brand, take a listen to mini-sode 32. Here's a little sneak peek. If you ever find yourself scrambling because you think, oh my gosh, I need to post today, or if you feel like you always need to be quote unquote on call to respond to potential DMs super quickly or anything like that, you can release that shit, my friend, okay? We need to take the urgency, the pressure that we put on ourselves to be immediately posting or immediately responding to DMs or all that stuff. We need to release that. We need to let it go because it is not very important. Okay. If you're scrambling to create a post because you have to post today, because you want to post daily on Instagram and all that different stuff, and it's 9:00 at night and you're trying to type up this caption and get it out because you need to make your deadline that you set for yourself today. No, it doesn't matter. You can post that tomorrow, friend, and then you'll actually be ahead of the game instead of feeling like you're scrambling to catch up. All right, my friend, the next episode, I'm so looking forward to sharing this with you because I believe that this episode is like 10 minutes long. It is a very, very short episode, and maybe under 10 minutes even, but it is very heavy hitting, especially this time of year. Okay. This is Minisode 26, and the title is, Has Your Engagement Been Dropping Lately? Listen to this, right? And basically in this episode, I'm sharing about the big engagement drop that most people see during the holiday season. We're normalizing that. We are talking about what you can do to improve your engagement and or release the expectations that you have for your engagement or anything like that. But believe me, during the holiday season is one of the biggest times of year where I have multiple people, multiple people come to me every single year, like clockwork. And they're all different people every year, right? And they always come to me and they're like, Kinsey, my engagement just plummeted. What the heck happened? What am I doing wrong? Oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm failing. Literally out of every single one of their mouths, that is what happens. I feel this myself, but I don't say it to myself, but I totally empathize and understand it. And it can be really kind of like a mind F, right? I'm trying to decide if I wanted to drop the F-bomb in today's episode. I'm going to hold back for now. But it can totally screw with your mind to see this big plummeting engagement, your engagement dropping. But it is so normal this time of year, my friend. And in Minisode 26, I normalize it and I share a few things that you can do to help, un-F your mind during the holiday season, during this time of year. So let's go ahead and take a little sneak listen.
But on the other hand, on the opposite side of that same coin, more people are posting on the platform, even though they're scrolling less. This is because they are sharing holiday photos and brands are showing up and promoting more so. So more brands are posting, more people are posting. So there's more content on the platform and less people to consume it. So what happens is the algorithm has to spread its visibility way more thin than it normally does, especially this time of year, right? Because there's less people using the platform, but more content that it needs to show around the platform. So visibility goes way down right now, okay?
Okay, the next episode that I want to share with you for our mindset playlist is episode 75, 6 tips for selling in a genuine way. And if you listened to our selling playlist episode a few weeks ago, you may have heard me mention episode 75, but I had to share it again for today's mindset playlist because man, it's a good one. I talk a lot about the mindset hurdles that you have to overcome when it comes to actually selling and promoting your brand online. And I share a few tips and tools that you can pull out of your back pocket whenever you're having to pump yourself up to sell and promote yourself, right? So episode 75 is a great episode to listen to if you want mindset tips and tricks, seriously, actionable tricks for overcoming the selling scaries, right? In episode 75, I actually also share strategy tips for selling as well. So it's kind of a double whammy. It's really great. Here's a listen. There's just such a difference, I think, internally first, right? For me, at least, when I remind myself of exactly how I help people with my offers, and then I get excited to offer it to more people and I get excited to help more people with my offers, it is so great internally, firstly, because then I can show up and sell knowing I'm fully within my integrity, right? Knowing where my heart is when I'm offering to sell things. That is so helpful for me internally. But then I also believe that that energy comes across through the sale that you're making, and it gets the other people excited about your offers too, right? Energy is so important, I think, in business in general, and also when it comes to your social media content. When I teach social media marketing, I teach to try to create content when you are in a good energetic space, because I do think that that energy comes across to the people on the other side of the screen when they're consuming your content. And the same thing goes for selling, my friend. When you can show up and sell in an excited way, and you know where your heart is, and you know that you're trying to help people or whatever lights you up, right? Then the person on the other side of the sale can feel your energy. They will get excited too, and they will feel more compelled to buy from you, right? Because they're excited about it. Okay, so the next episode that I want to share with you when it comes to our mindset playlist is, I told you I was going to say it again. It's one of my favorites. Seriously, it's Minisode 37, Stop caring about the algorithm and care about this instead. And I'm chuckling right now because I literally recorded this episode fired up. I was kind of ranty a little bit, but I have heard from a lot of Feel Good Social Podcast listeners have thanked me for recording this episode. They're like, thank you. I'm not the only one who feels like this. Thank you for putting words into how I'm feeling. Thank you for giving me a perspective about what I should care about instead of the frickin' algorithm. And so if you have been feeling fed up with the algorithm, if you've been feeling the algorithm's out to get me, or I'm just not seeing growth, or I don't want to care about the algorithm, I want to just show up online for my brand, this is the episode for you. It's minisode 37. It is a minisode, so it's actually pretty short, under 20 minutes. And I basically, tell you don't have to care about the algorithm, and I share what you should be looking at and caring about instead of the frickin' algorithm. So if this sounds like an episode that you want to listen to, it's minisode 37. Here's a little sneak listen. As a self-proclaimed, somewhat control freak, I'm not necessarily a control freak, but I do love putting my time, energy, resources, money into actions that I know are going to give me ROI, right? I don't like spending brain power, money, energy on things that I can't necessarily control as much, right? I like to understand them. I like to try to work with the algorithm, but I'm not going to put all my money and my bank in the algorithm. It's like caring about this boy that I want to like me that's probably never going to like me. It's just causes heartbreak. That's what the algorithm does to you. So that is the one thing that I want to say. Firstly, when it comes to stopping caring about the algorithm so much, it's a good idea to try to work with the algorithm as much as possible, but don't make pleasing the algorithm your end goal. Don't make that what is going to mean success to you. Okay, the next episode on our mindset playlist is episode 100, the big 100. Okay, I feel like a nerd. But it is the 4 most important lessons that I've learned about starting a podcast. And this was kind of inspired because it was the 100th episode of the Feel Good Social podcast. After 100 episodes, what have I learned? And let me tell you, there were a lot of big lessons that this podcast has helped me learn for sure, including how to take and how to receive feedback and receive criticism as well. I talk about the 1-star reviews that I've gotten on the podcast. I talk about falling off your horse and hopping back on it, and how consistency is a myth and whatnot, right? And while this is told through the lens of what I've learned through recording 100 episodes of the Feel Good Social podcast, these lessons that I've learned are totally applicable to social media. They're applicable to business. They are lessons that I feel deeply in my soul, and I apply every day of my life in my business and personal life too, I'm sure. So if you are looking for those big entrepreneurial lessons and just some perspective on some of these things and hurdles that we all struggle with, some of the mindset shifts that have been most influential for me as a podcaster and an entrepreneur, episode 100 is for you, my friend. Let's go ahead and take a sneak listen. I thought that I had to be consistent. I thought that was the most important thing in the world, to show up every week on Thursday at 6 a.m. Mountain Time with a new podcast episode for the Feel Good Social podcast. And all the entrepreneurs online were saying, this is the most important thing you can do. Consistency is key. You cannot miss a week. I've not missed a week in 10 years. That's how I've seen success, right? Stuff like that. I kept hearing it. I took it to heart. And I was killing myself trying to freaking show up every freaking week with a new episode edited. And it took a long, long time for me to realize people aren't waiting for your podcast to come out every Thursday at 6 a.m., right? Especially at the beginning, I had like 50 listeners or something, you know what I mean? Like, not like, and, over weeks and weeks and weeks or whatever. Like, no one was waiting at 6 a.m. for the Feel Good Social podcast new episode to come out, And even if they were looking forward to it on a Thursday, if it came out later in the day, whatever, even if I skipped a week, whatever, right? And it took me my business coach actually saying that to my face for me to realize, like, oh my gosh, I'm making this into such a huge deal when it's not. Okay, the penultimate episode, the next to last episode that I want to share with you on today's mindset playlist for the Feel Good Social podcast is episode number 9, What's Stopping You Getting Over Yourself and Actually Marketing Your Biz on Social. And yes, I did say episode 9. So this is even going farther back than episode 17, which is crazy. But this is one of my very first episodes that I talked about mindset. And I shared my best tips for those people who are wanting to show up on social media for your brand, but you just aren't. You just can't do it. You're not taking action. And so in episode 9 of the Feel Good Social podcast, I share my best tips or I guess the top struggles that people are having when it comes to taking action and showing up online. What the top things that are stopping most people from showing up on social media, and also how to get over it and just show up, just start showing up, right? And I feel this so deeply because not only did I struggle with this when I first started out in business, but a lot of my Feel Good Social clubbers, a lot of my one-on-one coaching clients have all struggled with this. And let me tell you, they are showing up now with confidence. I have heard from the mouths of my clubbers, of my coaching clients, all that different stuff, that these tips work in this episode. So even though I recorded this almost 3 years ago, this episode is one of the most heavy hitting and underrated episodes of the Feel Good Social podcast. You definitely want to go back and give it a listen. Let's take a sneak peek.
I think there's a fine line between knowing that you're producing quality work and knowing when you need to stop being nitpicky, bite the bullet, and put it out there. Because I do believe you should be showing up and giving value to your audience in a quality way. If something is half-assed, people will normally be able to tell. And for that reason, I don't really believe you should be posting just to be posting. I do think that you should consider how your content relates to your business and is valuable for your audience. However, if you're using that as an excuse not to post to social media at all, or as an excuse to spend 3 freaking hours tweaking one Instagram post, then we need to get our priorities straight, right? There are things in your business, marketing content in your business even, that you should definitely spend a little extra time on. I'm devoting a lot of time and energy to this podcast, for example, because even though I'm not using traditional ads and it's not really moving my bottom line in a tangible way, I know that this podcast will live on as a source of value for my audience. Just the nature of podcast listeners is that people will generally go back and listen to previous episodes or specific episodes that they think they'll find value in. And I know that even though the Feel Good Social podcast is new and we may not have a large amount of listeners at the moment, although I love my OG listeners who are with me right now, we may get more listeners in the future. And I want to make sure I'm putting the time and effort into every episode that the longevity of this deserves, right? These episodes aren't fleeting like an Instagram stories or an IG live. And so I'm prioritizing the extra effort. And now that I've said that, I've just got to say, your individual social media posts are not worth that, you guys.
All right, my friend, I'm calling this my bonus episode that I'm sharing on the playlist, right? Because it's the 8th episode that I'm sharing on today's mindset playlist. And I'm chuckling right now because the title of this episode is actually bonus episode. This episode is 85 and it's titled bonus episode, Lessons from a Lifelong Pivoter. And then in parentheses, it says, featuring my mom. And I swear this is one of my favorite episodes, not just because I love my mother so dearly, and I think that she is an amazing human and the reason I am who I am today, but my mom freaking killed it when it came to sharing her story, sharing tips, sharing relatable experiences, normalizing being a pivoter in your career, making it normal to not be quitting a job, but to be retiring from a job and chasing new dreams. She also shares about how she has enjoyed every single career and job she's had in life and how she's done so many different things across so many different industries. And we talk about all the different things, and she shares a lot of great tips. Okay. She actually shares amazing tips for selling as well. I was so proud of her. Whenever we were living in Montana and owned a canoe and kayak business, she got to sell to people in a genuine, fun way. And she talks about how she was able to do that and shares tips for that. I love my mom so much. And this episode, I have heard from actually several women in my close circle say, that episode with your mom, like, she made me feel like okay with like doing this, or feel better about the like switching paths, pivoting in my life and whatnot, right? So it's such a great mindset episode. And it's just, I love this woman so much. So I hope you enjoy it too. It's episode 85, bonus episode, Lessons from a Lifelong Pivoter, featuring my mom. Here's the sneak listen.
I love how like example oriented your like selling is as well.
I think I had to be, because my skill level was not great. Mm-hmm. Now, what also allowed me to sell boats, though, was because most people who came in, their skill level was not that great. Mm-hmm. And so they could look at me and understand that this was something I didn't grow up doing versus your dad. And look at her, she can carry that boat down the hill, or she can do this, or I would paddle them upstream, or I would make a suggestion. Now your dad was like, well, you need to use the J stroke to do this or that, and blah, blah, blah.
You made it really accessible and relatable.
Yes, but he knew way more than I did, and I learned a lot from them.
All right, my friend, I hope that you enjoyed this mindset playlist for the Feel Good Social podcast. I hope that you've been enjoying these playlist episodes. I honestly, it's really good for my soul to go back through all these past episodes and just get fired up once again about all the different topics and all that stuff. I hope that you found at least one episode that you could go back and give a listen to in today's playlist. I would not judge you if you went back and re-listened to any of these episodes that you've listened to before, if you just feel like you need a little, reminder, because I do that all the time. So once again, you just have to scroll back in your podcast app, or I have linked these episodes in the show notes. So I hope you found a good one that you really love. And don't forget, I will be back on January 3rd with a fresh episode 150 that's all about the social media marketing trends for 2023. It's not going to be an episode that you want to miss, so keep an eye out for it, my friend. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, a happy holidays, and I'll catch you next time I catch you.
Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.